Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So I'll be following on JL, and JL has already established the basic science and principles and data about the climate crisis.
OK， 好，接下来下一节由我来负责。刚才我们已经听到 John 非常精彩的演讲，那我们将会承接 John 对气候变迁的问题来继续来做讨论。
Now my job is to teach you not about the data, the hard science, and the basic skills and knowledge. What I wanted to share with you is how to bring the science, the data, into your families, into your communities, into your workplace, to the streets, and share what you've learned as well. Because the basic foundation is just first to know the science. Are you familiar with the scientific method?
如果你会一些科学统计方法的话，请举手。有学过一些科学实验方法等等的都可以举手。
Yes. The scientific method, step number 1 is what?
科学的第一步是要做什么？
Yes? Hypothesis. But there's number 1, you need to know the problem. Because if you don't know the problem, you won't have a solution. A solution may be a mistake or it is a wrong solution.
所以科学研究第一步其实并不是提出假说，第一步你必须先定义你的问题。
Now we know the problem. So, but first, because we're a technology people, if you wanted to know more about us and our work, well, about me, you have my Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Gmail. All of it, believe it or not, that's my handle.
好，首先自我介绍。如果各位想了解我以及我所分享这些资讯的话，可以在这些社群网站上面找到我。
Now we've learned about climate change, climate crisis, and we were informed that it is actually an emergency.
我们刚刚已经知道气候变迁，而且气候变迁是一个相当紧急的状况。
It's not working. Okay. Well, we know that it's all about global warming. So John Leo, JL told us about it. The heat is trapped inside because of the fossil fuels, having greenhouse gases, and the blanket. And we will further explain that blanket to everyone. But global warming is all about the hydrological cycle. You know what? And the best thing that we need to do is to do some scientific experiment. Then when you go home, you do this kind of experiment. Do you know how to sing? You know how to sing?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
好，我们知道刚才已经John帮我们介绍很多气候变迁的一些背景，它是石化燃料，还有温室气体等等的科学议题。但现在我们要来一个更加生动的方式来演绎。其实气候暖化很多都是经由水循环所造成的。那我们就来带各位来做这样的活动哦。
So John Leo told us about the hydrological cycle, the heat of the sun, and if there's intense heat of the sun, you have evaporation. Extreme evaporation. So from liquid, it becomes gas, and this greenhouse gases there. The rain is actually, the clouds full of rain is actually, water vapor is actually greenhouse gas. So the extra heat cannot bounce back to space anymore. So the heat is trapped inside. And the best way to explain this to the kids and to some of you would be to sing the song. And what song is this? Do you know the song? Can you sing this with me?
请大家跟着我唱。
I'm a
Little teapot, short and stout. This is my handle, this is my spout.
When I get the steam up, hear me shout. Tip me over.
Okay, stand up.
请大家站起来，请大家站起来，
请起立。
Let's dance and sing.
一起跳舞吧。
I'm a little teapot, short and stout. This is my handle, this is my spout. When I get the steam up, hear me shout. Tip me over and pour me out.
Okay, great, children. Once more. Once more,
再一遍
children.
哦，再一次哦。
Once more in Chinese.
我们有中文版哦。
我是一个水壶，爱又圆，这是我的把手，这是我的嘴。等到水烧开了，我会说，快快把水倒出来。
Once more.
再反复一遍。
我是一个水壶，爱又圆，这是我的把手，这是我的嘴。等到水烧开了，我会说，快快把水倒出来。
Okay, very good, children. Sit down. Sit down. So it's all about the hydrological cycle. So, experiment number 1, when you go home, boil water.
所以实验第一步，大家回去试着烧开水。
So, we've known that it's all about the greenhouse effect. The fire from the stove is the heat from the sun. And the kettle is the earth. And the cover is atmosphere full of greenhouse gases. So thick, very, very thick. And then we'll boil water. My question is, what was the first recipe you learned at home? What? Boiled water. So, we will boil this water for 5 minutes. Or 10 minutes perhaps, or 5 minutes. So you have the heat from the stove, and it will be trapped inside. So, the scientific experiment number 1, the greenhouse effect, but you have a greater concentration of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, methane, among others.
所以在图上我们可以看到，邀请大家回去做一个实验，去试着烧开水。你拿水壶，下面有我们的发热来源。那我们做个譬喻，其实水壶就等同于我们的地球，下面在烧火的东西，它就是太阳所散出来的热。那热不断的帮水壶加温，我们知道会有水蒸气，但是上面却有一个盖子，是厚厚的 atmosphere 厚厚的大气层所盖住，而且这个大气层会因为温湿气的关系变得越来越厚。所以回去你试着烧看5分钟烧开水会怎么样，再烧个10分钟会怎么样呢？到底这个水壶还有里面沸腾的蒸汽到底会怎么样呢？
The earth is composed of how many percent water?
地球有多少是由水构成的？
75. Our body is composed of how many percent water? 75 still. So we do a countdown. 5 minutes. Countdown. 1, 2, 3, go. So you open the kettle. What will you see? Bubbles. What kind of bubbles? What? Tiny bubbles. Tiny bubbles in the wine. Tiny bubbles. For example, in the Philippines or in Taiwan, in Southeast Asia, we have so many hurricanes and typhoons. No? We have many. That's natural. In the Philippines, it will go to Taiwan, it will go to Hong Kong, it will go to Japan, just like you travel, you love traveling. Typhoons, hurricanes from the Pacific Oceans love to travel, going to Asia.
所以水壶烧了5分钟之后会怎么样呢？你把盖子打开，发现沸腾很多蒸汽，但其实蒸汽就像是地球上所面临到我们各式的台风、飓风，一直不断的加热，那地球就会造成越来越多的台风和飓风。而且在亚洲，我们知道东南亚跟台风都经常面临台风的侵袭。
So the measurement, it depends. In Japan, the measurement of typhoon, the intensity is different. In the Philippines, etc. Naturally, we have so many. In the Philippines, we have 20 typhoons per year, and it's natural. I remember I'm asking my fellow Filipino here. How many typhoons do we have? And intensity, we have signal number 1, 2, 1, 3 before.
所以在菲律宾，其实平均每年我们会面临到20个台风，我们已经司空见惯了。那台风它有强度定义哦，譬如说可能有1级强风、2级强风等等。
And usually we have signal number 1, we have classes before. Signal number 2, yes, we still have classes. Because it's natural. Number 3, sometimes we don't have, or sometimes we will have, depending on the declaration of the government. That's very natural for us. We did not have any hurricanes or typhoons that may destroy. It's historical sometimes. After 50, 20 years, typhoons destroy our homes.
所以当然我们政府会根据台风的强度来决定，到底是否要上班上或者是停班停课。
But if we boil that water again for 10 minutes more, the heat is trapped inside. Like in the ocean surface, about 92 or 90% of the heat is absorbed by the ocean. And it really affects the movement and even the pressure and even the intensities of typhoons being formed in the oceans. So we count like 10. Countdown, okay? 1, 2, 3, go. 4, 10, 9. And we open the kettle. What will happen to the tiny bubbles? It becomes bigger.
好，那我们刚刚倒数10分钟之后，再打开这个沸腾的锅子，打开之后泡泡怎么样？它变得更大颗了。
So now it becomes bigger. We now have higher intensities of typhoon. In Taiwan, how many intensities or signals you have for typhoons?
在台湾，我们应该有一些对于我们每年有多少台风的定义的频率，还有对我们台风的强度的评判，对吧？譬如说 ，for example，
Yes. So the signals or intensity sometimes in the Japan atmospheric office, it now increases. So from intensity 1, it now becomes 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It doesn't mean that the heat is being trapped inside the earth and the number of typhoons are increasing. The power or the intensity, the energy of typhoons are increasing. And that is what is happening.
所以其实我们现在就经历到，如同这些泡泡变得越来越大，其实台风的规模也是因为温室效应的影响变得越来越大，变成超级飓风、超级台风。
Yes. So that's experiment number 1. When we boil water in the villages of Taiwan, for example, in the villages which don't have any electricity, so we boil water because it's too cold. We use hot water for our hot bath. Remember? Sometimes we put it into the pail so that it will be warmer and we can take a bath. After taking a hot bath, and if you look at the mirror, what will you see? Blurred. It's blurred. There's moist because warm air holds a lot more water vapor.
所以，譬如说，假设如果在一个偏远的小村庄，你没办法用电力来烧水，你只能用火来烧水。那么你烧一锅水，想要洗澡，洗完澡之后，你出来发现浴室里面的镜子是怎么样的？它其实雾雾的，充满了水汽。因为我们会知道说，其实更高的温度会导致更多的moisture， 更多的湿度所产生。
And if you look at your tea, your hot tea with your eyeglasses on, look at it very, very close, and then what will happen to your eyeglasses? It becomes blur because there's moist. And that is what intense evaporation is all about. Intense global warming, intense El Nino.
所以这其实就是高强度的蒸发所会带来的，像我们的刚刚譬喻，我们的眼睛会变得非常雾，我们预设镜会变得非常雾。其实我们的地球就是面临这样的状况，譬如说圣经现象、声音现象，还有许多的状况。
And that is experiment number 2. he can do it at home. Now, I need a volunteer. Any
我
volunteer?
们来征求一位志愿者，
A volunteer will receive a prize.
有奖品哦，志愿者有奖品哦。
Okay, kindly give. Father, who? Well, I have a magic strategy. Father, please give me a number.
19,
19. 1 plus 9?
10.
10. Okay, I'll count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I'm in control. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, come over on stage. Come over on stage.
好，
Come,
月儿
come.
老师请。
Okay, let's have some experiments. Yes. Okay, thank you. And what is your name? Oops.
自我介绍，叫什么？有开了。
我叫吴月娥。
My name's 吴月娥。
There's no sound.
No sound. Mic test 1 2. I'll get another. Hey, say 1 2. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll translate for you.
嘿，
So 吴月娥 my name
Your
is
name is?
嘿，威尔，嘿，哎
My name is 吴月娥。
，my
Your name is Word.
嘿，
Okay. So I will invite you to sit down. You'll be like Queen. Sit down, please. And we may borrow one microphone from Father Francis. Okay, so that she'll have.
Hey, say.
Okay, remember, my colleague John used the blanket. Now we will actually use the blanket and ask Miss Wei,
吴月娥。
Miss Miss Wu, to tell us her experience about it. So, remember, greater concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere leads to the trapping of heat from the sun and cannot bounce back to space anymore. And that we will prove that it's not only global warming that we will feel. The effect of global warming is leading to the crisis of our climate. Changes of patterns in rains, in droughts, among others that will affect our lives. So, remember, we will please help me, putting the greenhouse gases here.
这个毯子就是温室气体，
She's the Mother Earth.
它是地球之母。
There. Okay. So here's the atmosphere with water vapor, with carbon dioxide, with nitrous oxide, with methane. All of these are greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide being the greenhouse gas which stays in the atmosphere for so long a time. So that's the longest. Now, we have many coal-fired power plants producing more carbon dioxide, and we will put that to Mother Earth. There. We will ask Miss Uri, what do you feel right now?
你现在感觉如何啊
很热
？So hot.
So hot.
，so hot，
So while we put more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere like a sewer, it's getting hotter and hotter. What if we sleep, we put on blanket like this, full of greenhouse gases, trapped inside for 8 hours when we sleep? For 8 hours, Miss Ur, what would you feel?
如果你这样待8小时，你会感觉如何
会蒸发掉啊。
？I'll obliterate it.
You'll be sweating. So remember, extreme heat, extreme evaporation. Now, in your body, if you produce more water, a lot of water, sweating, vomiting, urinating, all the water will come out from your body. What will happen to your body?
那你现在觉得很热，会一直排汗，会一直蒸发液体，那身体会怎么样呢
身体发热，
My body is heating.
Body is heating and you'll be dehydrated.
你会脱水。
Warm air holds a lot more water vapor, extreme evaporation, then it will turn into sweat. So longer droughts, you don't have your farms anymore, you don't have water for your farms, for your domestic use. If there's fire, there's no water anymore to put off the fire. So there's crisis. So it's not only about global warming, but after that, the water vapor will stay there. Now, come clouds, then it will fall down to a dry land. What will happen if it will fall down to a dry land without trees anymore? What will happen?
如果狂风暴雨侵袭一个没有植被的土壤的大地，它会发生什么状况？
Floods. Lives and livelihoods will be affected. More rains, more flooding. And if you have plastic waste clogged into your sewage, then you have a crisis. What shall we do? There are two solutions, actually. The first solution is what we call mitigation. Mitigation is bringing down our usage of fossil fuels, which has greater impact on the trapping of heat. So we use renewable energy, and we will decrease our emission. We will decrease our emission. Less carbon dioxide, less greenhouse gases, then you won't feel hot anymore. You will not sweat that much anymore. And that is mitigation. In 2015, the Paris Agreement of Nations says we will limit global warming to 1.5 and strive, at least below 2 degrees Celsius. But we have already exceeded 1.5. So we need to drastically reduce our carbon emissions to net zero or, negative. That's mitigation. And for Ms. Uri, if it is hot, what would you wear?
如果热的话，你会穿什么？
背心。
Just a little jacket?
Just lighter, light shirts. And that's what we call adaptation. You adjust to the signs of the times. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Climate Change 101 in the kitchen, in the bathroom, and in the bedroom.
所以面临气候变迁，我们有2个解决方法。第一个是 mitigation， 还有 adaptation。mitigation 我们要做到是缓和，缓和其实就是减轻石化燃料的使用，减少这些废热困在我们大气层之中，那就是降低碳排等等。如同我们刚才看到的，就是把棉被拿走，那就是减少碳排、减少废热困在大气层之中。那在2015年巴黎协议其实就已经有制定一个理想上的目标，就是我们要把我们的温度升高降低在1.5度 C 以内。虽然我们已经超过了，但是我们还是要尽量的去大幅度的改变我们的生活，才能达到更好的目标。那第二个方法就是 adaptation， 去调试，譬如说我们可能会调整我们的穿衣风格等等，来去做我们一些人为的因应。
Thank you, Ms. Uri. And your prize, please? A book from Living LAUDATO Philippines.
感谢你的参与，我们会送你一
We'll
本
give you a
书。
book authored by Mr. John. Okay, where's that book? It got lost.
奖品在哪里？有奖
Okay,
品
we'll
有奖品
give that book later. It's in the other, I think it's in the other, is it? Yes, it's there. So please give me that book. Okay, so it is a book titled, we will give a one book for the library and for the president, None Left Behind. It's about the effects of the climate crisis in most vulnerable countries, but in a way that no one is left behind in solutions. Thank you and congratulations. So remember, if you wanted to volunteer, you have a prize. Okay, now, if there are effects of the climate crisis and we don't know what to do, we consider the effects of the climate change, like heavy rainfall, flooding, strong winds, we call those hazards.
在气候变迁所造成的各种影响，如果对我们人类造成负面影响的话，我们称之为 hazard， 称之为灾害。
Who is in love right now? Who has relationships?
目前有男女朋友的，请举手。
You, the students, they are in a relationship. So in a relationship, if you have boyfriend like Sanchai and Watsele, it's a meteor garden. I remember Taiwan. My first encounter would be, it's so famous, the meteor garden. Sanchai and who's the boyfriend of Sanchai? It was a long, long time ago, so the students cannot remember that drama. Before K-pop, we have T-drama. Before K-drama, we have T-drama. Taiwanese drama. And it was so famous in the Philippines. Anyway, if you have relationships, sometimes your relationships are destroyed and disrupted, disturbed if there are hazards. Alex, are you in a relationship?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
How many years already?
Pardon?
How many girls? I mean how many years? How many years of relationship?
8 years.
You're not sure?
For this one, it's 8 years.
Well, in a relationship, there are troubles. And sometimes in a relationship, there are problems. And sometimes it involves third party. Did you have any third party in your relationship?
Luckily, no.
So we call them hazards. No? For couples, sometimes the partner or the former relationships of your husband or wife would be a hazard to your relationship. In this case, in climate change, the effects of the climate crisis would be intensity 5 typhoons or strong winds. So, if there are hazards, for example, I have an umbrella. So we really need to, the domains of teaching, of pedagogy. And so, I have a material here to deal with hazards. So if there is strong rain, that's hazard coming. You know that something will happen, right? And if rain comes and all of us are outside, we have the potential to get wet. And that is what we call, we're all exposed. If I put off the aircon here, and if the aircon is going to be repaired because it's not working anymore, it's hazard. And all of us will feel warm inside this hall. That is hazard. Now, some of us may be at risk. We don't know. There are so many kinds of risk. Risk, we don't know what will happen. That's number one. Risk, we know that something good will happen, but we will do it. And number three, we know that something will happen, something bad will happen, and we still did it. So there are three kinds of risk. You don't know that it is good, and you know that it is bad. So there are three kinds of risk. Now, when I go out and there's rain, I know that it will rain, and I know that I will bring umbrella. And if I don't have any umbrella at all and I'll get wet, I am cold, vulnerable. I need to be, you need to translate first.
所以我们的情境题，譬如说我们刚刚看到许多的状况，譬如说如果外面下大雨，那我们当然知道可能要撑把伞，否则我们就会 expose， 就会暴露在大雨之中，所以我们会知道要撑伞。那或者说在我们教室的范围内，假设冷气坏掉，那我们就是全部暴露在这样子一个比较热的环境 expose。那碰到这样大雨状况，我们有什么 risk 呢 ？risk 它可能是好的，比如说统计学上有正向风险，那它也会有负向风险，也有可能是我们不知道是好或坏，所以我们很难做到趋吉避凶。但是我们会知道说，出门要至少带把伞，那可能可以帮助我们度过一些所谓的风险。
I'll get back to the relationship of Alex. Alex has a best friend, and Alex's partner, they were quarreling, and your partner was angry at you. So you called your best friend come over. That time, Alex is vulnerable. He's at risk. And he doesn't know that his best friend really, really likes him. That's hazard. So Alex was vulnerable. He's not prepared. And if you're vulnerable and you're not prepared for it, there will be a disaster. It will be the end of the story. So tell your story.
所以当一个人某某人，假设他碰到一个感情两难的话，他又没有准备的话，那他其实就是陷入一个没有准备一个非常脆弱的状况。那如果碰到一个脆弱状况，他真的是一切坏事都屋漏偏逢连雨的话，那他其实就是一个doom，就是一个 disaster， 就会真的是一切都面临这个超大的灾难了。
But if Alex is ready and he's firm that, no, I love my partner, he has the capacity to deal with it, to cope. Now, if there's hazard and if I'm prepared and there will be rain outside, I will open my umbrella. So I'm prepared. Although I'm exposed, if rain comes, I have a defense. And this is what I call capacity. There will be no disasters. I will not get wet. I will not get sick. And I know the risk is positive because I brought with me an umbrella.
所以 capacity 这个起因就是我们有beautiful little umbrella， 我们有一个小红伞，它可以帮助我们抵御暴风雨，所以我们就不会落入脆弱的状况了。我们有能力，我们这把小伞来帮助我们抵抗。
Okay? Yeah. Now, it depends on my capacity. If my umbrella cannot withstand the strength of the rain or the strength and blow of the wind like this, you have a risk, bad risk, because your capacity is not good, beyond the hazard. What shall I do? What will I do is to rebuild my capacity. And I know that it can withstand the rain. I need to make it sure. At least I'm prepared that I will not be defeated by the rain. I have that capacity. But you know what? Capacity with compassion. Because I'm not the only one exposed. I need to have Alex with me for as long as it will fit under the umbrella. And that's the difference between the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and the teaching of Pope Francis, Laudato Si. It's capacity with compassion. And if I have more umbrellas, I'll give others umbrella. And I'll share what I have. Because I have something I can share. In Latin, we call that nemo dat quod non habet. You cannot share what you do not have. But you have compassion. You share compassion.
所以其实我们就带给各位一个观念：我们有能力有雨伞去抵御暴风雨很好，但是我们更应该具备 compassion， 具备我们的同情心。当我们自己有能力重建我们能力去抵抗暴风雨的话，何妨同舟共济，把你的伞让别人一起撑，跟他分享我们所有的优势，因为你无法跟别人分享你所不具备的东西。所以其实就是我们秉着 Laudato Si， 愿你受赞颂这个特点，它跟联合国永续发展是稍微不太一样的。我们希望结合能力以及 capacity and compassion， 能力加上同情心来扶持这个世界。
Great. Now I'll put the umbrella down. And that's what resiliency is all about. So in resiliency, we have 3 elements. Number 1 is experience. You experience all these maladies already, all these hazards, and you learn from it.
我们要希望达到 resiliency， 达到一个坚毅、坚韧不拔的程度。那 resiliency 它有3个组成，第一个是经验，我们已经经历过许多的灾害，那我们当然知道怎么样去克服这些灾害。
You already know what to do.
我们知道要做什么，
You know what kind of risk you will have.
我们会知道面临怎样的风险。
Number 2 is wisdom. Wisdom means it does not only talk about what you learn from it, but what you learn from others and from science. Science, which will teach you not really perfect solutions, but will help you come up with solutions. History, historical analysis, projections. So experiences will help you with that as well. Hard science plus experience.
第二个，看到我们的智慧，我们智慧不只是我们可以从他人学习，也可以从科学学习。我们会用各种科学的方法，那包含比如说历史分析法，来增进我们的智慧。
And lastly, preparedness. Now, you're prepared because you learn from your experiences, you learn from others' experiences, you assessed it, and you know what are the risks, and you learn from the wisdom of others. Now you're prepared to face hazards.
第3个就我们的准备心态，我们心态要准备好。当我们已经做好各种评估，做好各种风险分析，那我们就有能力来准备面临这些灾害。
But John said there are bigger solutions and smaller solutions that will help us attain sustainability. We talk now about smaller solutions that will actually affect our lives and livelihoods. I'll share first the video and later on individual slides for these individual smaller solutions. You can do to protect the climate or to protect your environment. What will you do? I'll teach you 8 ways on how to do that. Are you ready? This is what you call 8 R's. You're already familiar with the 3 R's. What are those? The 3: reduce, reuse, recycle. What is reduce? Reduce is reduce your consumption. If you do not use your cell phone or your chargers of the cell phone, plug it out. If you do not use your television, plug it out. Conserve energy. So reduce. Second, reuse. If you go to the fast food chains, you do not only pay for your food, you also pay for the utensils you use. Don't leave it there. Bring it home. It is using again the thing in its original purpose. Recycle. What is recycle? Recycle is using that thing not in its original purpose but new purpose. Now, I'll give you the 4th R. Repair. If it is destroyed, you repair. If you have television and it does not show pictures anymore, bring it to the repairman. And then you repair it. Then it's okay, it's done. You need not decide, my television is destroyed, I'll buy another one. Oh, I have iPhone 1, I'll buy another iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we have iPhone 7, we have Samsung like this, Samsung like that, Samsung like this, and Samsung like this big. Repair. Refuse. Somebody offers you something, okay, you buy another television, flat screen TV, LED. You buy 5 so that when you look up, you have television on the ceiling. When you look down, you have television on the floor. When you right and left, you have all televisions. And wherever you look, you have television. Because in the world, sometimes, if not at all times, it is great and noble to say no. Now, there's another one. Rethink. Think of whatever you do. Does it affect your neighbor? Does it affect yourself? Will it affect your kinabukasan or the next generation? Always rethink so that also you can feel it. And the 7th one is what you call reforest. You see a seedling like that? It will not take you 1 hour to plant a tree. So if you plant a tree every day, you can do it. It will not take a lot of time to do it. And number 8 is reconnect. Reconnection is just like this. Everything in your body comes from the earth. Everything. When I eat fish, I look like a fish. Remember, always remember, we are all nature. We belong to each other. Whatever you do to the rest of your brothers and sisters, you do it to nature.
Me as a student is one.
So there are 8. So you may enumerate it.
所以刚才的影片，我们看到 8 R's 8个重要的 R， 那接下来我们就会逐渐来看哪8个重要的 R。第一个我们看到 reduce、recycle 回收、维修，还有拒绝消费主义，重新思考我们的所作所为是否会对我们的邻居或者下个世代有什么影响。我们要多栽种、多种树。
So rainforest is you plant native trees, watch them grow, and restore ecosystems.
对，多种树其实就是对我们的生态系有好的影响。思考我们跟环境的紧密相连。刚刚我们的影片我们看到，其实you are what you eat， 你吃的东西就会成为你，所以其实我们都是从大自然中孕育出来的。Respect， 我们要尊重。
So, in closing, do you know this person?
知道他是谁吗？大家知道他是谁吗？
Yeah, Pope Francis of the Catholic Church, being appreciated by other religions. So, Pope Francis has a letter to all of us, and that is Laudato Si on care for a common home. Laudato Si is the first 2 Italian words of the canticle prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi, the patron of ecology. And I'm here because of another Francis. He visited me in the Philippines, and I cannot say no. But in Laudato Si, there's other eco-actions that students can do. The challenge for the students, hashtag LS211, or some will say hashtag Laudato Si Challenge at Providence. So these are the smaller actions that you can do every day according to Pope Francis. We know that there are 7 Laudato Si goals. Now always remember this: response to the cry of the earth, response to the cry of the poor, ecological economics, adoption of sustainable lifestyles, among others. We put emphasis on the 2 Laudato Si goals for Providence.
所以教宗圣方济他写给我们一封信，他发起了愿你受赞颂这个通谕，他其实就是呼吁全球世人一起来奉行生态保育。那他有7大目标，这里我们看到2大，我们这节要讨论的2大重要目标。
And Pope Francis is asking us to do this. Hashtag LS211. Laudato Si passage 211. That he says, there is a nobility in the duty to care for creation through little daily actions, and it is wonderful how education can bring about real changes in lifestyle.
在221条这边可以看到，他其实写说，任何中我们生活中所做的微小改变，其实都可以对整个整体教育还有整体做出巨大的影响。
Number 1, waste management. Pope Francis says, these are not my words. These are the words of Pope Francis. Avoid use of plastic and paper. He did not say stop, but he said avoid. Just avoid. If it is not necessary, don't use it. Number 2, segregate waste. No? These are hazard waste, recyclables, among others. And number 3, reuse. Always use. If you buy vinegar or soy sauce, when you go to the market, you just need to bring money. So when you buy those, you bring waste. Because there are in plastic wrappers or bottles. So shall we say Providence University will actually adopt a community and contact a shampoo corporation and give 1 big drum of shampoo, and then they will sell it in a very cheap price without any shampoo bottles anymore and sachets. They will just bring their own shampoo bottles, and it's cheaper, and it's good for the environment. Number 2, well, you first.
所以第一点，在我们个人可以做到什么呢？我们的废弃物管理，第一个我们可以 the previous page。所以第一个我们可以看到，我们可以减少塑胶，减少纸的使用，并没有叫我们完全不要用，但是至少先避免减少使用。那第二个我们可以做到分类。那第3个当然就是我们的重复使用，譬如说我们去购物啊，或者是买一些东西，如果你可以带自己的购物袋，或者是环保杯，或者去超市采购等等，那我们就是重复使用。譬如说，或许经营大学可以考虑发起，就是让譬如说洗发乳厂商，它可以用比较环保方式来贩卖，用环保低价的方式来贩卖这些洗发乳或者是盥洗用品。那我们自己带环保杯来分装，那就可以用我们自己有获利的方式来使用这些东西。
Number 2, water conservation. So we already know this. Reduce water consumption. Meaning to say, you may need to install rainwater collectors. I know you have here rainwater collection system, and also protect your watersheds. So it's as easy as that. Adopt watersheds, take care of your forest to have more watersheds.
那第二个，我们可以做到我们的水资源保育，譬如说，我们可以装上很多收集雨水的资源的设备，或者说我们个人节约用水、节省用水，或者是在一些大自然的情况下多让植被，其实就是保护水资源。
These are not my words. These are the words of Pope Francis. Number 3, cook only what can reasonably be consumed. So it's good that we had our lunch, packed lunch, and we know that this will all be consumed. John said, number 1 problem is food waste. Pope Francis actually said, whenever food is thrown out, it is as if it were stolen from the table of the poor.
第三，我们可以做到就是食物的摄取。我们食物可以尽量只煮自己要吃的分量就好，尽量不要浪费。因为我们知道，其实我们在劳塔罗斯也看到说，浪费食物其实就变相等同于是去偷穷人的食物。
Then, next is show care for other living beings. That's why we always say, there are so many cockroaches. Well, because you're dirty. You don't clean. There are so many snakes. Because you destroyed the forest and snakes are coming. There's polar bear. Well, are there polar bears here? Because the North Pole is now it's melted. Not all. So it's by their mere existence they bless him and give him glory. And indeed, the Lord rejoices in all his works. We are called to recognize that other living beings have a value of their own. That's why we're telling and we're suggesting, how about putting names on the trees and also having inventory of the birds and plants here at the university so that we will know them by name and we will take care of them.
现在我们可以做到，我们也是照顾其他生物，因为我们知道人类还有其他生物其实都是上帝的创造物。那这些具体的方面，比如说我们可以在做一些认养树木啊，或者是认养一些东西来彰显这些东西的价值。
And growing trees. Plant trees, watch them grow, and restore ecosystems. It's not enough to just plant trees. So whenever you plant and grow trees, plant the seeds. Remember, the theme of Laudato Si Week this year, May 19 to May 26, is Seeds of Hope. So if you plant, watch them grow, and plant them and restore ecosystems.
我们可以做到多种树，因为多种树其实就是许多植被环保的根源。我们希望种下希望的种子。
Then, second to the last, energy efficiency. You are very efficient in your energy use here. But it's not only about efficiency, but also the use of renewable energy. Transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy. These are not my words. These are the words of Pope Francis.
我们可以朝能源效率来迈进，减少石化燃料的使用，那多使用再生资源。这些都不是我讲的哦，是教宗讲的哦。
And lastly, well, you have it here in Providence University. You use public transport or carpooling. So those are the words of Pope Francis. But it means that we can walk if it is just 1 kilometer away. And of course, less travel. But if you travel, make it sure that your travel is worth a travel. That you share best practices and you share sustainability and you offset all of those.
在大众交通，我们可以推行永续的方法，譬如说，我们鼓励共乘，我们可以多使用大众运输，那其实我们可以多走路。
So, in closing, we may need to embed and integrate the teachings of Pope Francis in Catholic schools. For example, you study Christus Vivit, is the letter of Pope Francis to the students, to the young people, and also to some other older people. But I would like, in behalf of the elder people, I would like to say, I'm sorry to the young people for what we've done. We may have failed, but we know that they can work together to address the needs today and secure your future. Now we have learned something, and you have already the roots. As Pope Francis said, young people, now you have roots, and you cannot be in a disaster. You now have the capacity to stand up. In Laudato Si 13, it's so important we need to remind ourselves. Young people, please recite this with me, okay? Read loudly, okay?
请所有同学一起来朗读这一段话。
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. You may translate it.
OK， 所以其实教宗就是希望我们可以在年轻人的心中扎根，因为我们知道年轻人其实是很渴望勇于改变的。我必须为我们这一代，我们已经年华老去，但是我们很抱歉，我们这一代辜负了各位。但是我相信新的一代其实可以把握变革，年轻人是拥抱变革的。我们会知道说，我们有我们的能力来让环境变得更好，而不让更少人蒙受其害，让大家都可以变得更好。
To make a wonderful world for all of us. So, in closing, I'll sing a song for you. And if you know that song, please sing that song with me. I know sister knows this song. Okay? So let's sing together.
会唱的一起唱。
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white. The bright blessed day, Father, the bright sacred night. And I think to myself, what? What a wonderful world. Sing with me. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, what? I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, sister,
What a wonderful world.
What do you think? Yes, I think to myself. What do you think? What a wonderful world. So hopefully after this we'll have a very, very wonderful world in the future. Oh yeah. Am I finished?
好，谢谢 Mr. Galicha。